Welcome back to the PokerStrategy.com. TSL number 3, we've reached the main event, series number 4 between Dignitas.NaNiwa taking on TLAF Liquid Ret. Here we are in game number 1 on Tal'Darim Altar, and don't forget to sign up for a trip to go to Korea, teamliquid.net/raffle.
Yeah, guys, go do that. You definitely can win. The person who won last year didn't even think they would win. I think you said they had like 8 posts or something. Absolutely outstanding. But what's more outstanding is the games we have seen so far. My Twitter is actually exploding. I feel like my phone is going to set on fire. People are loving these games, so make sure to spread it around to your friends. Let them know, well, they can only catch one more best of 3 for today. You can catch all the VODs later on youtube.com/teamliquidnet. And I am absolutely freaking out. I think I need to take a chill pill or whatever, because huge upsets in the last 3 series that we've seen. If you missed them, definitely go back. Those replays will be ideal for studying and learning from. We've seen some crazy play from all of our players, and that last game, I have no idea how good he held there. I thought for sure he was completely done and toast, but you definitely called it much better. He was able to set up the contain, destroy that last base. Phenomenal play, and I'm hoping for nothing less here in our last series.
Yeah, seriously, and while we're in the beginnings of this game here and the pieces fall into place, I want to remind everyone to tune in tomorrow. I have the day like completely blocked off. I'm just going to be sitting here on my TV watching TSL. Idra versus Cruncher, Kaz versus Heypro, Mondragon versus Xerax, Nada versus TLO. The final day of the round of 32 when we put all the pieces together to figure out who's going to advance into the round of 16. So now here in game number 1, we have Ret going with a 15 spawning pool as he's forced to react to that initial harassing probe. And one of the things Ret said in his interview was he wants to exploit the bad multitasking of NaNiwa. So they definitely have had words, and as I mentioned in the pregame, that makes this series a little bit more sweeter for me. Always a little bit better when there's some ego on the line.
Yes, definitely good to see their personalities shine here and the smack talk, but you got to leave all that on the forums, because once it comes down to the games, that is it, and may the better player win. The expansion just going down now for Ret, and you can see NaNiwa knows the timing in his head, realizes, okay, I can get my Nexus before having to get a cannon, just based on when that spawning pool went down, so, and also getting his gateway here before the cannon, and so he will make sure to get one, otherwise 4 Zerglings will easily run past that. So completely standard opener here for NaNiwa. I think that this type of expansion build is something we're seeing more and more. Actually, Ret double expoing, just realized that because I'm a goofball. So he is going to be going on 3 base already. We're talking about he loves drones. Well, this is that, you know, that's basically what he's doing. He's going to make a ton of drones, doesn't have his gas or anything yet.
Yeah, exactly. So NaNiwa knows the timing. He knows this is how far I can push it before Zerglings come to my base. And putting up the production tab, how does Ret respond? He says, well, okay, you know the timing. I'm not even going to make Zerglings. I'm just going to make 2 expansions. And this really brings me back to the Brood War days. This is what we've seen, you know, time and time again. Protoss fast expanding behind a forge, Zerg taking 2 bases and then beginning to tech before making units. And that really says a lot for where StarCraft is headed. I like NaNiwa completing the wall temporarily with the gateway, then realizing there's no threat, canceling it, putting the cybernetic score to complete that wall. His Nexus about to complete. Ret transferring drones over to his 3rd hatchery, his 2nd hatchery about to complete. NaNiwa coming in with a probe. Gonna see that 2nd hatchery is very late, so he should be able to put the pieces together.
Yeah, I mean, the timing of that is so late that if he just clicks on it, he's like, oh, this isn't even completed yet. And you can see NaNiwa is a little confused here. He does have a probe down in the bottom center. Not sure if he's going to do any sort of proxy pylon down there to warp on the high ground, or if he's trying to see if Ret decided to take a 3rd down there rather than on the right side. Now, it is important to note that if you look at NaNiwa's vision, he's scooted right past that 3rd base and doesn't know for sure it's there. I mean, like you said, she'll probably put it together and know exactly what's going on, which is why you don't see a ton of cannons or anything like that, because he knows there's no super aggressive cancel on the hatchery with mass roach or anything like that. So he is going to be safe for now, but the Zerg is going to be sitting as comfortably as possible. And I'm curious to see if he does anything with his probe or if it's just there to delay that expansion.
Something subtle Ret has done, which I just want to point out, is that he's actually just now completed his main queen. He got his 1st queen at his 3rd base, 2nd queen at his natural, 3rd queen at his main, and that's in order of importance for defense. So very, very subtle but very important thing Ret is doing. And now that the cybernetic score is finished and warp gate technology being chrono boosted out of there, we can see NaNiwa adding 4 more not 4, but totaling 4. Going to go up to 4 gateways, and I'm interested to see how he follows this up, if it's just going to be warp gates all day, or if he's going to make a Stargate, make a Robo. You know, he really has every option in the world, as Ret just has to sit and wait for him to move outside of his wall. But Rhett seems very comfortable there. Production tab showing buildings and drones.
Yeah, that is too funny. He's continuing to make mass drone here. 4 more on the way. However, Red is going to start teching up here, just now grabbing his lair as well as his Roach Warren. I'm curious to see what Red is going to follow this up with. Is he going to try and break down the entrance with just his basic Roach attack? We do see NaNiwa here actually killing his Forge to bust out of his main base, so no upgrades are going to be able to come out of that Forge for a while until he, of course, rebuilds that. And the 4 gateways are just now finishing. This could be a super delayed attack here off of these 4 gateways. Not sure if that's going to be very effective considering just how many workers Red has, which means he can start producing attacking units whenever he notices a push moving out, which he does have a Zergling here to spot, although he still thinks that Forge is there. He doesn't know these units are out. Now, just kidding, that Zergling is going to go down. So expect Red to react accordingly to defend this attack.
Yeah, actually, I was looking at Rhett's vision, and he did scroll over there and notice that the Forge was under attack, so he was a little bit aware, and we can see that in the production tab. He's got 7 Roaches on the way, he's got Burrow on the way, he's got Glial Reconstitution on the way, so really trying to put the pieces together to defend any sort of early attack. We can see NaNiwa pushing out with just a few sentries and a few zealots. I'm interested to see how he follows this up, because 4 gateways can easily be sustained off an expansion. Protoss needs something more to back it up, and looks like that's coming in the form of a robotics facility a little bit later. NaNiwa now retreats back to his wall, so Rhett, this is the I guess the benefit of just pushing out, applying pressure. You force your opponent to make a bunch of units he didn't want to make. If NaNiwa had not broken that wall, I guarantee all these Roaches would have been drones for Rhett.
Yeah, 9 minutes into a game, both players already over the 50 worker count. Rhett is pushing near to 57. Hasn't taken his 4th base yet, so is he going to... Oh, now he's making 6 more drones. So yes, again, you can see how this does leave Rhett vulnerable. If there's something hidden that he didn't know about, some sort of attack, maybe some Void Rays or something that he wasn't prepared for, it shows you how making this many drones can be a huge detriment to his game. In this game, I think it's really going to pay off, though, as the Protoss is just now going to be securing his 4th base down in the bottom center, which if Rhett scouts that right away, then he will be able to just take his 4th and possibly 5th if he wants to. And does he have a Hydralisk in or anything like that on the way? No, it just seems like he's going to continue making drones and working on upgrades, working on that +1 attack, and getting some upgrades for his Overlords as well, and just now beginning to produce some Zerglings and stuff like that. So we'll see if he's going to move out here or just double expand. Like, I would not be too surprised if he did.
Right. NaNiwa's taking a 3rd base, and he's looking just a little bit too comfortable for me. I don't know if you want to sit back against someone like Red who can easily take a 4th base, but Red pushing forward with a few Roaches. Got to be careful he doesn't get force field trapped, and indeed he's going to pull back, seeing that there's a 3rd base coming up. Although he didn't 100% confirm it, he's got to be aware of the fact that there's no reason for Protoss units to be over there. I would love to see Rhett take base number 4 and 5 as opposed to attacking, but looks like he's set on attacking. He's got +1 missile weapons on the way. No Zergling upgrades, not even Zergling speed on the way. So surprising play by Rhett in that regard. And there goes the drone, going to take a 4th base at, I'm going to call that 230.
Overlord speed is done. Overlord drop nearly completed. However, the Zealot at the Watchtower is going to spot this, so it looks like Rhett is definitely going to be going for a drop, but you can see that NaNiwa is back inside of his base. He is expecting this to happen, and there is going to be an Immortal on the field. Looks like more Immortals are going to be on the way. Yes, Chrono boosting them out right now. Is this going to be in time? The drop may not do that much damage, though. It's going to come down to, can Rhett actually kill a lot of workers here? At the same time, he may counterattack in the front of the base, so we're going to have to watch multiple prong attacks. The upgrades for the Roaches are going to be done, as the workers have got to run away here, and once again, like you said, trying to take advantage of low multitasking. That's what he's shooting for, and he is going to be running down here, and an Overlord's only dropping a couple units inside the main base. Rhett is forced to back out there, losing Overlords, though, with units inside of them. Not a very cost-effective attack at all, and he's only dropped 1 or 2 Roaches inside the main base. At the same time, attacking at the front of the base. Those Roaches do get taken out, though, by those force fields, so NaNiwa is holding us up perfectly, but I don't think he realizes that he's losing a lot of Zerglings, or probes rather, down here, and the Immortal, thankfully, is going to spawn to save that. So Rhett, again, did just try to do a 3-pronged attack, not doing that much damage, though, if you look at the units lost tab.
Yeah, trying to drop again in the natural. NaNiwa shuts that down. And when someone's got a defensive stance, dropping them, probably not the best idea. Rhett still not taking his 4th base, now taking that 4th base. But the supply shows a huge different story than you may think we're showing with the game. It's 126 supply for NaNiwa, 166 for Rhett as he again goes to attack the 3rd base. Going to take these 2 stalkers down immediately. 1 goes down. Cannon's going down also very quickly. +1 attack is finished. Rhett has Overlords, but nothing in them. And he's actually got 3 burrowed Roaches being unburrowed in the main base as an Immortal comes out to start to go to work on those. But looks like he's getting force field cut at the 3rd base. Blink Stalker's moving forward. He takes out the Immortal. Going to take out a lot of Stalkers. And even if Rhett trades his army, not at a cost-efficient pace here. It's good for him because he's so ahead in economy, he's so ahead in bases. It's just good to trade armies, and it's really going to give him a lot more map control. So I really like how Red is playing this out, and NaNiwa is up against it.
Yeah, he just needs to be careful with the amount of roaches he has because there's so many units that NaNiwa has right now that are powerful versus the armored units. There's no Hydras or anything like that, and that's allowing NaNiwa to just mass Immortals instead of having to go for Colossus Tech or anything like that. However, Rhett is going to be getting his 4th base right now, and the supply counts is still favoring Rhett, not as heavily though as we saw previously. And again, those Stalkers do additional damage versus Roaches as well as the Immortals, so if Rhett is not careful and does not micro correctly, he could be in a lot of trouble. It looks like he's going to continue to try and utilize these drops, but Roaches do not kill probes that quickly, and so even if you unload 4 Roaches in a mineral line, they're only going to snipe a couple of units now. So we'll see though if NaNiwa is able to push out here. Usually you would like to see Colossus in a Protoss army, but since he's really only going against the Roaches, I mean, Immortals are going to do just fine.
Yeah, we can see the Hydralisk end just completing now for Red. He's beginning the range attack, also getting an infestation pit. Finally killing the Zealot that has been standing by the Xel'Naga watchtower he's been rallying to for about 10 minutes. That was really driving me crazy. So Red, you know, every time he was maneuvering back and forth, jostling for position, preparing a drop, NaNiwa was seeing everything just because he controlled that Xel'Naga watchtower. I guess Red just assumed it wasn't under his control. He's got this Overlord trying to drop again in the main base, or just prepared when NaNiwa may not be focusing. He can drop that into the natural or the main base. NaNiwa's ball is getting pretty scary. He's up at 150 supply. His upgrades +2 on his ground weapons. Meanwhile, Red at +1 range, 0 carapace, dropping a few roaches in the main base. But you know, if Rhett sits back and lets NaNiwa get to his ideal composition, that is a dangerous game to play against Protoss.
There is, yeah, just those 4 roaches in the main base, not doing a ton of damage, but just making it annoying, forcing any observers back to try and deal with that. So again, just forcing the Protoss to focus on dealing with a couple of units while he himself gets maxed out. I mean, look at this, he's at 196 supply, has the Hive Tech, and about 2 minutes ago, he was actually making 10 to 12 additional drones. So this is where Rhett does start to get extremely annoying and very powerful, and he's basically delaying the Protoss from moving out by leaving those 4 roaches inside the main base. This is going to be extremely annoying for NaNiwa once Rhett decides to start attacking. He can either go for Broodlords or Ultralisks, keeping in mind that there is so many Blink Stalkers that Broodlords may not be the best. There's those 4 roaches again, gonna snipe a couple more probes, just being annoying. Only +1 attack, 0 armor for Rhett, but the Protoss does have +2 attack, and then 0 across the board here. So I think we will see one really big battle, but Red is also allowing the Protoss to get maxed out, which could be pretty scary once NaNiwa pushes out.
You know, even if you have a lot of bases, a lot of production capability, if you lose the big battles decisively, it's very easy for your opponent to just roll into your main base, especially in Protoss vs. Zerg. So Rhett needs to be careful of that fact. He brought in an Overlord to try to drop into the natural. NaNiwa very quick to warp in Stalkers to deal with that drop, and we may have a big battle here as Roaches and Zerglings moving forward against the big ball of NaNiwa. Hydra's trying to reinforce. They do have that range upgrade, so able to deal a lot of damage. But NaNiwa is in a beautiful position sitting down here, cutting the army in half with force fields and blinking away. Oh my god, his control is so good. Supply is now favoring NaNiwa. He blinks forward to finish the army, and Red may have suffered too many losses here. It's 167 versus 124 as he's continuing to fall, continuing to lose units. And NaNiwa's ball looks strong as ever.
Yeah, there was no infestors here for that fungal growth, which did get a recent buff versus armored units, and also preventing that blink from going down. All these overlords are going to die as well, and I want to mention that NaNiwa actually killed, I believe, 1 or 2 overlords full of units right before moving out, so that makes his army even more powerful against Red. Red only has Hydras here. The Concave is way too powerful for NaNiwa. This is just pure Stalker Immortal right now, and that really is kind of Red's fault for just sticking on roaches for way too long, and there is not a lot he can do to deal with this right here. So it looks like NaNiwa, after doing very good defense against that early drop harassment in 3 different locations, then he just was able to get that ball and hold it off. There's the GG from Red. So that game, I think Red was allowed to go unchecked on his economy, but his unit combination, or composition rather, was not quite exactly what he needed to deal with Mass Stalker. Maybe should have seen some fungal growth or something like that to keep those units rooted. And I think the main point is the big battle in the center. The positioning of Red was as bad as it can get, which just allowed a full concave for our Protoss and just melting away all those roaches. And yeah, that was that.
I mean, as we said, Rhett lives and dies by his stubbornness to make drones and to make a specific unit composition. He looked like he went into the game with a game plan where he wanted to play this style of dropping and harassing and didn't really react when NaNiwa set up a defensive stance, didn't overexpand and didn't start teching up to higher units, wanted to just keep it with Roach Hydra. And Naniwa, he identified that, he reacted to it, and he eliminated it very easily. I would not have expected Ret to be allowed unchecked to get maxed and end up being rolled like that without Colossi or High Templar even being involved. Naniwa, also I want to point out, having insane blink micro. During those large battles, he was individually blinking little groups of damage stalkers back behind just to keep everything alive as long as possible. So very impressive play by Naniwa. I don't want to sell him short by any means. I think he played that extremely intelligently by sitting back, playing defensively. When someone's showing you, I'm not going to overexpand and I'm going to be very aggressive, you have no reason to get out there and be aggressive. Playing defensive is a smart way, and Naniwa played it the smart way.
Yep, he did exactly what he needed to, and even though Protoss are usually a little bit longer to change and adapt to what your opponent's doing, he was able to get out enough Immortals quickly that the drops were just completely null and voided, and his multitasking in that game, despite what anyone says or what Ret was making fun of him for,
right,
the multitasking there was very powerful, and basically fighting on 3 different fronts at the same time, especially when there's roaches that are cloaking basically by being burrowed. If you're not watching when they burrow, you don't know if they're dead or you don't know if they're still there, where they move to, and so that's even more multitasking to add on top of that. So a great game there for Naniwa in that Protoss versus Zerg. I believe the next map is going to be on Metalopolis here. Once again, the spawn locations are pretty far apart, so they're guaranteed to be at least, not right next to each other in this map.
Right.
So I am super excited here, and I'm kind of hoping it goes to a Game 3 just because that would be an amazingly epic series to finish this out. But, I mean, for now, Ret is going to have to win this next game, and in that last game, I don't think he played to his full potential. We'll see if it's going to be much better here in game, game number 2, yeah.
Yeah, and I think a lot of viewers are agreeing with you, Husky, hoping it goes to game number 3. I think there's a lot of Ret fans who really like the guy, like his personality, and want to see him succeed. Game number 2, potentially the last game of this broadcast, but don't forget about Sunday, because if you forget, I'll have to come to your house and slap you. We're going to be going into game number 2, potentially the last game, after this short commercial break.